hopefully halfway through the meeting. I may have to leave. I have a hard stop at 3:15, and our vice chair will take over for me then. And I will move the agenda a little bit, but we'll start with roll call, please. And Pledge of Allegiance, I will ask if Karen Stepper, would you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance after roll call?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Director Akinjo,
Here, ma'am.
Cantu,
Here.
Hobart,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Hudson,
Here.
Kick,
Here.
King Tingle,
Here.
McPartland, Naram,
Here.
Rickman,
Here.
Stepper,
Here.
Vargas,
Here.
Warner,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Zuba.
Here.
You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Candace. And Karen, would you do the honors, please?
Yes, would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Cross your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Of
States
United
of
States of
America
America. And to
to the republic for which it stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Stepper. We will open the public comment section for items not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments, candidates?
I don't have anyone with a hand up.
We'll give them a minute. Still nobody?
Nothing.
Awesome. We'll close the public comment and bring it back to our consent item agenda. From minutes on May 12th, 2021, Board of Directors and Treasurer Report for April 2021. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of consent if nobody wants to pull anything.
Hernandez will second.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kick,
Yes.
Kick, King Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland, not here. Naram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Zuba.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll go to item 5, and then I will be moving item 8 to be right after item 5, Executive Director Report. Where is my director? Michael?
Yeah, everybody hear me all right? Well, hey, listen, good afternoon, everybody. And it's an exciting day. An exciting week to cap off what's been really an exceptional month as well. So I'll be really brief with my executive director's report, knowing we've got quite a few things on the agenda that really speak to the great things that are happening with the authority. But certainly want to make mention right up front that Congressman Swalwell was successful with his recommendation of having $20 million named for the Valley Link project in the reauthorization bill that's currently moving its way through the House and also being worked on by the Senate. As you've seen through his news releases and also through ours, the T&I committee printed the projects and also the funding amounts that are in the bill, in the reauthorization bill, and we were named and also have been given the $20 million. It was recommended by Congressman Swalwell. So that is a huge momentum booster for the project, really a recognition of the effectiveness of Congressman Swalwell with the ask, knowing that there were lots of pressures from a lot of different angles for him to manage, and also a recognition from the federal government that the project's on their radar and within their sights. And you may have read the mass transit article that I emailed to you a little bit earlier today that showed that there were only 5 transit agencies in the entire nation that received $20 million from this reauthorization process. So congratulations. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future, even have Congressman Swalwell here to talk about it in the near future. Congressman Harder continues to work diligently on the recommendations that he has made, which you talked about at your last board meeting. You know, there's lots of upcoming opportunities for continued funding. There's a lot of you know, revenues and funding flowing both in Washington, D.C. and also in Sacramento for rail projects. We have a huge application process coming up for the TIRCP program, which is your Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program. So that really is almost custom made for Valley Link in regard to what they're looking for. We have a RAISE grant coming up, which you'll see authorization for on your next agenda that has a lot of potential for the Valley Link project. That's a federal program. And then you also have several requests moving in Sacramento, both within the state budget and quite frankly, votes and advocacy that's taking place as we get ready for the TIRCP application. I do want to let you know that because so much was happening so quickly in Sacramento and back in Washington, D.C., with my spending authority, I brought on board Gus Kahori, who is a lobbyist up in Sacramento. He spent a lot of time in the governor's office this last month talking about the Valley Link project and getting us positioned. And then at the federal level, Peter Pizer, who is a really well-known lobbyist who is working in Washington, both with the FTA and with representatives as we get ready to move forward with the RAISE grant application and other opportunities. So those are short-term engagements. There'll be an RFP a little bit later on in the summertime, and we'll bring to you the best proposals from those RFP processes so that you can secure a long-term arrangement with lobbyists moving forward. I do want to let you know, the EIR was certified last month and you adopted your preferred project, and staff has been working diligently with your consulting teams on the project approval and environmental documentation work that's upcoming with Caltrans for the 580 approval process. We've been working on getting ready for NEPA to be kicked off, as well as 30% design. And we're also working really hard behind the scenes to bring you the game plan so that you can narrow down the technology that will be used for the trains. You'll recall in your EIR, you've cleared both diesel and hybrid diesel and also zero emission technology with battery electric, and your staff's working really hard to get up to speed and really get the vision for hydrogen and where hydrogen might be applicable on this train project. So a lot of things happening there. SB 548, which is your legislation for Valley Link moving through the legislature. It will be active in June. We'll be in front of the Assembly Transportation Committee on June 21st, and then shortly thereafter, hopefully on the Assembly floor. So we've been having a lot of communication with the staff there at the Assembly Transportation Committee to get ready for that. Did want to let you know also, and then I'll speed this up because I know we're pressed for time, but I do want to let you know we're working really closely with the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, to qualify your rail authority as an FTA grantee and also get it ready for the Capital Investment Grant Program, which is where you enter into the New Start process and you can receive up to half of the cost of the Valley Link project through the federal government's New Start program. So we're demonstrating with the FTA our legal and financial and technical capacity to handle the project appropriately. And what's on your agenda today, which we'll talk about next, the hiring of your deputy executive director / program manager, is really honing in on the technical capacity of the agency to move the project forward. So FTA watching very closely what we're doing with the top executives of the agency. And then a quick note that the exec committee, executive directors that were selected to give guidance to the board on this project, they met in May and took a look at what we had just accomplished as well as what was before us. And so they have lots of guidance that they have offered in the past, and I think they're pleased with the direction that the project's taking. So those are the items on the executive director's report, and acknowledgement that we'll have additional employment agreements before the board at the next meeting, part of that technical capacity building. Both these things are within our budget and they're envisioned by MTC and the FTA. And of course, on the agenda today, rounding out and the tail end is a lease agreement so that we've got some space for the executive team as we continue to meet. So that concludes my report, Chair Vargas.
Wow, that is a mouthful. It sounds like you guys have been a little bit busy. Good job, Michael, as always. But I also want to say a big thank you to Congressman Swell and Congressman Harder as well. We are extremely lucky to have the congressional support that we're having. And to Congressman Swell, I want to say, and I'm going to quote him on his press release that about the $20 million appropriation for Valley Link. And he said that he is pleased to finally see among our national transportation priorities this project. So I'm into that. And with that, I'll move to our item number 8, the resolution to authorize the executive director to execute an employment agreement with Kevin Sharding and the Authority Deputy Executive Director Program. So, Michael, I'm thrilled about this next item, and we are very fortunate to hopefully, with the board's blessing, bring Kevin to join Valley Link. With that said, staff report, please.
Great. And I'm assuming there's no questions from the board on the executive director's report. We good to go, Chair Vargas, on that?
It was no raise. I'm assuming so, unless anybody wants to go back to that item.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll take off on this item. We have moved this item up. So I will modify just slightly my staff report. Basically, the background on this is that, we're working on the technical capacity of the agency. And Rick Rattray, who's been serving as your program manager, I put in the staff report his circumstances. Long story short, he'll be moving to part-time and will still be an important part of the project. I do want to make sure we point that out. He has a fantastic experience, especially with the BART system and operating trains, and is just going to be very complimentary to what we're proposing for you in this agenda item. So long story short, we have the vacancy with the Deputy Executive Director / Program Manager. The costs for this, which are provided in the staff report, are included in your fiscal year 22 budget, which is also on your agenda. And they are within the allocation number 4 that MTC provided for moving forward with the project. You also have the HR policy that's on your agenda that provides the policy for employees. So the long story short is, this is the very first employee for the Tri-Valley San Joaquin Valley Regional Rail Authority, which is a real milestone for you. And it definitely is in line with where the FTA wants the agency to go, with its top executives being in-house and being able to not have the authority with consultants managing consultants. So we have recruited this position. We hired a recruiter, K&A, to do the recruitment. We had the advertising for the job opening out for probably 6 weeks before we narrowed down the candidates. And I will tell you that we received an incredible response to the advertisement and narrowed it down to 3, which was really tough. And these 3 you know, they're nationally recognized. Basically, it was a pleasure to interview them, and then difficult to narrow down to 1. I'll tell you, we put together an interview team. It consisted of the deputy executive director at ACTC, one of the key rail executives at Caltrans in Sacramento, to bring the state rail plan into perspective and what's going on with UP, and also funding. And then we brought Caltrans district deputy executive District 10 into the interview, as well as the deputy director, the general manager at BART. And then I was the 5th person on the interview team. So we interviewed, long story short, it was clearly the unanimous decision of the interview panel to hire Kevin Sheridan, who has what I would say an equivalent position over with the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. And I'll tell you the 3 things that really stand out about Kevin is he knows highways, and he has relationships built both at the district level and the state level for highway work, which is a critical component of the Valley Link project. He is very familiar and works closely with the Union Pacific on a regular basis. In fact, the state even uses him from time to time to negotiate with the Union Pacific. And finally, Kevin is in charge, is the person, the program manager overseeing about $1.5 billion worth of rail projects for San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. So, you know, in beginning the discussions with Kevin, I think I was super excited and both recognized my excitement and also, you know, the loss for San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. And I do want to address that because I think Stacy Mortensen and the Rail Commission have been incredible partners for Valley Link.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Step of the way. And so I've made that commitment to Stacy as we move forward with Kevin as our new deputy executive director, that I want to keep that very close relationship and be able to help her in any way moving forward. So I have in the staff report the terms of employment that were negotiated with Kevin. In short, beginning salary or an initial salary of $240,000 per year, which was right about the midpoint of what we saw in the competitive range out in the marketplace. We have agreed that after a 3-month period, if Kevin is performing adequately, to move his salary to $250,000 per year. Additionally, we've created a cafeteria style plan for his benefits with the value equivalent to $22,000 per year. We've established a similar 401k or A plan and a 457 plan to deposit into his retirement, and then provided an automobile allowance of $500 per month. So those are the terms of the agreement. What we're asking for is that you authorize the executive director to work with your legal counsel to create and execute the employment agreement with Kevin Sheridan to be your new deputy executive director, program manager.
Thank you, Michael. And before I open it for questions and comments, I want to say that I had the pleasure earlier last week to meet with Michael and chat with him about the position. And I was personally impressed both with his skill levels of his knowledge and a network, but also as well his passion. He is very passionate about the project and enthusiastic to come on board, and incredibly knowledgeable on aspects of rail and Caltran, and he has been working for quite some time in the industry, and he is very well respected. I have certainly the most admiration for all the work that he has done so far in other agencies. I'm very excited, and I think that he will be the person that will take us to the finish line, which is the groundbreaking of our project. I also want to echo, and I'm glad to hear that Michael is very sensitive to our relationship with ACE. They are our partners, and both we want to be mindful. And I don't know if Stacy is in attendance today, but we are here to continue to collaborate and support each other. With that said, Michael Conran, we open this for public comment, and then we can bring it back. You're muted, Michael.
If you'd like, or you could get board questions first.
Let's go ahead and go to public comments first, and then we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and consideration.
I don't have any attendees with a hand raised. Oh, wait, I take that back. Hang on, somebody popped up.
All right.
There we go. Okay. Esther Ann Waltz. You have 3 minutes.
Go ahead, Mr. Wall.
The person you were choosing to do the particular job that you were hiring him, I see him as a very good, and I like people who have a lot of knowledge about trains and rails and stuff, working with Valley Link. He'll really help make that be a real influence in how that system goes. And I'm anxiously waiting for the trains to start rolling, because I'm going to be jumping on them. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I echo your enthusiastic statement. We cannot wait, and we will be jumping together. Any other comments, Candice?
No, we don't have anyone else with a hand raised.
With that being said, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion and consideration. Board members, anybody has any questions?
We have Melissa and then David Hudson.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you, Chair Vargas. I just wanted to say that we both did have the ability to, meet Kevin. He's a great person. He has a lot of expertise coming forward with both the rail and highway. So I think finally coming back and putting those, 2 units together is huge for us with regards to not only his ambition and also his enthusiasm that he has looking forward to this. I did have the chance to call Stacy because I sit on the San Joaquin Rail Committee, and she was a happy, sad moment, right? Happy, sad, happy for him, sad to leave him go. She said he was an awesome employee. So I think we're making the right choice. And I think he has enough energy to get us through, getting the groundbreaking, and we need someone, Michael's been doing a fabulous job the last couple years, and we don't want to let that go to the side, but definitely, I think hands on deck with making sure this project gets, a shovel in the ground. So just wanted to let the committee know that we did our due diligence by, talking with him and also doing some more research.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm sorry, I cannot see whose hands up is next.
David Hudson.
Yeah.
Director Hudson, go ahead.
Before I ask the question, I'd just like to suggest to Esther that she jump in the train instead of on it. It might be a little bit more comfortable. Maybe I've been doing this way too long, Michael, but every time somebody extremely qualified comes along, somebody starts thinking about that R word. And I really hope you're not thinking about retiring anytime soon. So we're not going through it. Happy to see everything that you have in this. We'll be voting for it. If you can take a minute or two about Kevin and his experiences, maybe back in the Navy Yard, walking the halls, trying to get some money, or I know that with San Joaquin Rail, I had Dan Levitt and Tatson in front of me at the Air District. they had a ton of money over there. So any of the qualifications as it might go towards lobbying for money, because I really think I've seen the difference between getting a great lobbyist, but nothing matches the networking or the relationships that you can build back in Washington, D.C. when you're on first name basis until they all leave, like Valdez did. But the reality check here is it'd be nice to know a little bit about how he does on the meeting and greeting.
Yeah, well, Chair Vargas, I do know that Kevin is in attendance as well. So if the board has a desire to hear right from Kevin and get to know him for a few seconds, I think that'd be totally appropriate. I'll be super brief with my comments in regard to Director Hudson's questions. I mean, one of your toughest negotiations in this project will be with Union Pacific. And Kevin, I've mentioned his expertise with negotiations, but really it comes down to relationships, as Director Hudson mentioned. If you have the right relationships and you've cultivated them, you're going to move the project. And that's exactly what Kevin does really well, is build and cultivate relationships. I've seen it with UP. I've seen it with CalSTA up in Sacramento, which will have a lot to say about the last dollar in on this project and getting this project done. And I've also seen Kevin at work with both the FRA and the FTA back in Washington, D.C., having been a part of One Voice trips and seeing him both preparing for and creating relationships with folks back in Washington, D.C. So I don't know, Chair Vargas, if you'd like to just introduce Kevin and just have him say hello to the board. He may have just a couple of things to compliment in regard to what was said, but
Absolutely. I think it's appropriate. We will give him a few minutes for everybody to meet him and to answer some of the questions that Director Hudson proposed. I should share with you guys that I met Kevin 2 years ago briefly, and I think on the One Voice trip for San Joaquin County, and he was an advocate for a project in Stockton. And I was very impressed with his ability to present not only his project, but also talk about Valley Link even then in a very positive way. With that being said, Kevin, would you mind joining us for a few minutes?
Certainly, and good afternoon, Chair Vargas and board members, and appreciate the questions and all of the comments I've heard so far today. Happy to share any of my experiences. So when I was with the San Joaquin Council of Governments, I co-drafted all of the Proposition 1B agreements with CTC on the state and the COG to compete for funding for the highway program when I was there. And then as Chair Vargas mentioned, we went back to Washington, D.C. in 2019 on the One Voice program. We were advocating for many projects that were important in San Joaquin County. And one of those projects, we did talk a lot about Valley Link, but the other project was the Stockton Diamond Grade Separation Project, which we continued to build momentum by coordinating with DC and FTA and FRA and Caltrans and CalSTA and also the railroads. And then as a result of those efforts, we were the only rail project to receive funding from the federal grants. Last year was the Stockton Grade Railroad Grade Separation Project. So as far as any of those type of efforts, these projects are never built by one person or one funding stream. They are a combination of a lot of different stakeholders, and also putting the project in a place where there's confidence so that the state or other federal agencies want to fund the project, and to give it that type of confidence with the funding agencies is one of the most important things that can be done for project readiness.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for joining us too. Any other questions from any other directors?
I have Paula Kinjo with the hand up, and then Bernice Kintingo.
All right, Paul and then Bernice. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, for Kevin, since many of us have not met you, maybe I met you briefly at 2019, I cannot remember quite well. But I think you have your job cut out for you because as you know very well that you are balancing 2 counties. Even within the city level, I know it took some cities a very tough time. The city, I won't mention the name of the city, but the reason they were not participating with the Valley Link was that they are not in the first phase consideration. It took a while to get them on board, but so as you are dealing with San Joaquin County, which I believe we are the toughest one because we always have our excuse that we are farmers first and technological savvy second. So I don't know how you are positioning yourself to balance these two, the technically savvy not Central Valley, the Livermore, Dublin, and the rest of those gentlemen and gentlewomen over there, and us farmers in the Central Valley. So I know you have the experience. So can you share some ideas that you might have how to balance those situations?
Certainly, and great question. We have met before. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
So if you've driven on an interstate or a highway in San Joaquin County, I probably was the project manager on that job. And having written the application and followed the project from inception to construction for the first HOV lane in the project that starts in the north part of Stockton, it also terminates at the south part of Stockton. So it does not completely get through Lathrop or down to Tracy. So the value of that has to be attained in other ways to reduce VMT, because the folks that are taking that HOV lane, although it's very important, it currently terminates much sooner as that traffic continues to go south towards down I-5, towards 205 to 580. So there has to be alternate means of transportation to help alleviate that congestion and reduce VMT. And I would say that having the discussion to express the importance of how that can be done with alternate means of transportation, such as rail or transit, is critical in that discussion so that it can be seen that it also has a benefit to that area. Because the HOV lane is only benefiting if it can continue on throughout the whole valley. And currently it's not programmed or funded to go past really a French Camp at this point in time. Although,
Thank you, Kim.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Council of Governments, however, is working on a couple different documents to explore. They did project initiation documents, the San Joaquin Council of Governments, I should say, and also they're in the environmental clearance stage for I-205. So there's some opportunities to show how the corridor will benefit from the Valley Link project.
Thank you, Kevin. Bernice. You had
Yes, thank you, Chair Vargas. First of all, my initial comment before Kevin came on was I was going to make the comment that he does, thank you for the vetting, he does seem extremely qualified and his experience level seems extraordinary. The question that I was going to ask, someone answered, is that because this project does cover several counties, I was interested in the relationships that he's already built and his relationship building ability, but he did touch upon that because this is a project where there's so many communities or counties coming together. So it's important to have established relationships throughout the piece. But he basically addressed his ability to establish relationships.
Thank you, Bernice. Is any other board member that would like to ask questions or have concerns or would like to make a motion?
I would like to make the motion. Hernandez.
Second, Hudson.
All right, roll call, please.
Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kick,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland,
Yes.
Neram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper, Step Up, Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Zuba,
Yes.
and I'm gonna call Karen Step Up one more time.
She was there. I know that she's been having some technical difficulties. Will be
Yes,
nice.
she is.
You could,
She is
She's
on.
fooling
Come
around
up.
with her camera right now.
Can you give
It's
me a
on
raised
mute, Karen.
hand, maybe?
Come
Would a
up.
raised hand work? Michael
Awesome.
Conran.
All righty. So it's
Unmute. Okay,
unanimous.
yes.
There you go.
Finally.
Yes.
Motion
unmuted.
I
passes
am-
unanimously.
Thank you. I am very excited. Kevin, welcome aboard, and we can't wait to hear the floor running. So
Running.
here we go, guys.
All right.
Welcome.
If I
All
may,
righty.
Chair, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve this board as Deputy Executive Director and hearing everybody's comments. And I'm really excited and eager to get going and dig in.
We'll see how you
Great.
feel by the end of the year. I expect you to be on the rail subcommittee at APTA. Expect you back at the APTA conference in November.
He will manage. Welcome aboard, Kevin. All righty, we'll move to item number 6, and we'll go back into the regular agenda items. Michael.
Financial report.
All right, so agenda item number 6 is your fiscal year 22 budget. And your budget's really driven by the allocation that you've received from MTC. So I set the budget up to mirror basically line items in the allocation for ease of tracking and to allow you to see how your allocation with MTC is set up. I'll just be brief. In the attachment 1 is that fiscal year 22 budget. You've got your MTC funds that would be applicable to the work you'll be doing this year. And that's listed in the staff report, but just to be super brief, it's the PAED with Caltrans. It's the NEPA work, which is your federal clearance, environmental clearance, and it's your 30% design. So that is a lot of work. And then you add into it getting the selection of the technology of the train hammered out. So that's the work ahead for the 12 months of fiscal year 22. You can see the direct labor and benefits associated with folks working on the project that you would consider in-house. I do have one, I mentioned that your project manager over civil work, Bill O'Hare, I mentioned in the staff report that that would be one of the employment agreements that you'd consider next month. He's an important member of the executive team in the FTA's eyes as well as ours. And so we want him in-house. And then I actually have left out accidentally the cost of Mary Ann Payne is currently in this budget under the consulting work, but I do want to make mention that she is one of the key players for planning of this project and strategy and especially environmental work. And we've got a lot of that upcoming. So she will also, you'll see an employment agreement with her on your next agenda as well as Bill. So there's others there that you're familiar with. We've been talking about under consultants. You have your general engineering contract with WSP and PGH Wong, and you also have a few other contracts in regard to engineering that will continue to knock out the work that has been mentioned. You have Chris Cole Management Company doing the program management support services, which is very critical for the executive committee in particular, as well as your executive staff to make sure that the right project controls are in place, so that we move forward watching very closely and respectfully the public dollar on this project. And then you also have government relations and community engagement. We've chatted a little bit about that this afternoon. You've got indirect costs, insurance, basically a special liability package to cover not only the board, but also cover the employees and the authority. You've got financial audits, which are important for the public. You've got your legal work. There's legal supplemental there in the event that you're challenged in any way with the work that you're doing. We've also introduced a line item on a line of credit. LAFTA has been basically your line of credit thus far with the project. And we just want to realize that LAFTA is building basically a $30 million parking garage in addition to, in a collaborative effort with County of Alameda, in addition to the Valley Link project, which will certainly pick up steam this next year in regard to funding expenditures. So we have the ability to go out and get a line of credit if needed to float money. We've got some office space furnishings, office supplies, utilities that's built into the line item that you see there under other direct costs. We'll talk about that in a few minutes with the lease agreement. We've got travel, mileage, and meetings. We've got reimbursement agreements with Caltrans, BART, Alameda County Transportation Commission, San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, and Union Pacific as we have our partners helping us with the project. So that includes the staff report on your fiscal year 22. Again, it's well within the amount allocated by MTC. It was an original $46.8 million allocation. Will be kind of like in the first full year of work. And you'll certainly have the required funding necessary after this fiscal year to complete the work in fiscal year 23. So that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Michael. We'll go to open the item for public comment.
I don't have any attendees with a hand raised.
Perfect. We'll bring it back to the board for board comments or action.
I move we approve.
Second, Hudson.
Second.
Moved by Ben Cantu and Director Hudson. Bernice? Okay,
Yeah.
and Bernice Stingle. Roll call, please.
Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Absolutely.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kicks,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland, Naram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Zuba.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Candace. We'll move right along to item 7, resolution R09-2021, adoption of human resources policy. It's an action item. And it's now that we have an employee, we have to have policy. So we are excited to discuss this. And now, Michael, do you have a staff report for us?
I do. It'll be provided by Michael Conneran, who has prepared the
good.
document.
I'm on mute, yeah.
So these are the.
Good afternoon, board. Thank you. As Michael said, now that we have an employee, we need to have some policies that govern the employment relationships that the agency will have. I know this is obviously more comprehensive than might be needed for a single employee, but the idea is we put everything in place, and then as people join the agency, it's all there. It contains just the basics of employment, including rates of pay, benefits, discipline, but also I just wanted to note there were 2 typos that Director Zuber caught, non-substantive changes, which I will make to the document, but I'm happy to answer any questions. The point of it is to reflect all of the legal requirements in terms of benefits and leave policies, which our labor attorneys have added in. We took this just to understand. We basically borrowed this from LAFTA, updated it for your use, so that I think we try to be economical in its production. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Director Zuber, for catching up those little errors. And is any other comments or questions from the board?
We have Brittany Kick and then Paula Kinjo.
All right, Brittany, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to appreciate the fact that you made very explicit on item 2.1.1, very specifically identifying trans identity and LGBTQ status as something that's protected. Those were the only things that I was gonna ask you to make sure are there, and they're already there. So I think we've gone above and beyond what other government agencies do, and I appreciate that, because it does mean a lot when agencies go above and beyond the basic federal and state requirements. So thank you for that.
Of course. I'm glad that you approve.
It is Pride Month.
It is Pride Month.
Yep.
Yes. So Paul, you're next.
Yes, Michael, I couldn't find the section. I know I saw it earlier on. So we have one employee, and you gave Michael the sole permission to fire that employee. How is that possible?
Well, I just say one thing to notice, part of the reason, normally the relationship would be that the executive director would be the employee that the board hires and fires, and really the employment relationships below the executive director level are really at the executive director's discretion. So that's what the policy reflects. What's a little bit unusual right now for this agency is that we're bringing on people using employment agreements. But that's partly because we don't have everything set up at first. We don't have salary ranges and all of the position descriptions that an employee would just fit into. So it's a little bit of a transition, but I think, and I think most of you have the same experience with your agencies, your city managers, your county managers, in terms of they have discretion over the employees below their level, and the executive director or county city manager answers directly to the board or to the council. So it's really just keeping that framework.
Well, rest assured, I got you, Karen. You have the authority to fire Michael and Michael if you want to, but you have a fight in your hands. That's not gonna happen, right? But that being said, Karen, you have the
just a clarification on what you just said. You said here we're using the employee contracts because not everything's set up with respect to salary surveys, et cetera. But
Right.
since our first employee is now coming on board, that's already been done for that employee, correct?
Right, it's in the employment, it'll be in the employment agreement in terms of setting their salary. You've seen the numbers, but yes,
Right.
that'll be done in that way.
And so that was based on survey before we hired that person. So
Correct.
okay, great. All right, just a clarification. Thank you so much.
Candace, I cannot see the comments. Is any other hands raised?
No, I don't have any other hands raised.
Perfect. Then this is an action item. Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of the HR
Second.
policy.
Perfect. So it was moved by Director Stepper, second by Director Suber. Roll call, please.
Who was the second by? I thought I heard Akinjo.
I heard Leo.
Oh, okay.
Leo.
No, wasn't Leo, it was a Kinjo.
Then by thank you, Leo.
It was Hudson.
Hudson. Oh man, I'll pick
Oh,
I'll
boy.
pick Paul.
It was a Kinjo.
Okay.
And,
Director Akinjo.
Akinjo,
Yes, please.
Cantu,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson. Hudson, you're muted.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's just one vote, okay? Kit,
Yes.
King Tingle,
yes.
McPartland,
Yes.
Neram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Zuba.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Wonderful. We're moving right along to item number 9, resolution to R11-2021, authorizing the executive director to enter into a 2-year lease agreement for office space located at 2600 Kitty Hawk Road in Livermore, California. This is giving a big shout out and thank you to LAFTA for providing the space at no cost to the authority during the agency's past few years as we are a startup. That said, I have been in the office many times and recognize it has been a very constrained and will not be able to accommodate our growing staff and workload. I am glad that we are able to find an office space nearby, which meets the basic needs. Everything we need is right there. So I have no other comment more than just the conversation and presentation by the board. Michael, do you have a presentation for us?
Michael, you don't need to. Move resolution R 11-2021.
Second.
Before we vote, let's go open it up to the public. See if the public have any comments, you guys, and then we'll bring it back for a roll call.
I have a question.
We do not have any public comment.
Perfect. We'll bring it back, and I believe Karen has a question.
Yeah, I was
Karen?
trying to, it's just more than I had expected, cost-wise, and I just didn't know if it was A, B, or C, rental space. You know, Class A, Class B, Class C.
Oh, boy, you're above my pay grade, Director
It's-
Stepper. I'm not sure what those classifications are.
So
Of
it's
course,
a-
we do appreciate the 2 years free, but you know, it has to do with central space, common areas and things like that. So.
It's
I
got to
think
be
that-
Class B. I know Kitty Hawk pretty well. It's I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
Class B.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
all right,
you.
that's great. Thank you,
Supervisor.
David.
I was
Okay,
going to say
I'm
the
fine.
same thing, David.
I'm fine.
All
with that.
righty. With that being said, roll call, please.
Can I just get the names of the first and second, please?
Sure.
Hudson first, Hudson second.
Cantu.
Hudson was
Cantu-
first.
Cantu
It was-
second.
Awesome.
It was-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Akinjo,
Yes, ma'am.
Cantu,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kick,
Yes.
King Tingle,
Yes.
McPartland,
Yes.
Neram,
Yes.
Rickman,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes,
Vargas,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wright, Wright,
He was there.
Yes.
There.
Sorry, I had to get unmuted.
Stuber.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Awesome. Wonderful. All right. Item 10. I think I will be able to just finish the meeting, you guys. Director's discussion, comments, questions, and agenda requests.
I have
What
one
is-
if I could start it off. So glad to have this guy on here, but I got to tell you, this is a time, and listen to the new guy on the block telling you, this is a time really when you just give this guy the reins and let him go with all the lobbying and meetings and all this stuff. Get on APTA, get back there, get on the subcommittees. I'm on the technology implementation, and I don't think I've ever been to a meeting. They don't have any, but this is going to happen. And eventually there's a story to tell with Valley Link, and getting around to people that want to hear this, it translates into money. So, I mean, I can't stress it enough. Just the faster we can become a district and start sending people out, the better off we are.
Right.
Amen to that. I have to share with you, Director Hudson, and now we are only lucky to have Kevin, but Michael has selected 2 other lobbyists that come with an incredible, impressive resume. And I can't wait until you guys, we have the opportunity to actually meet them. And I know they're hard at work already. So Michael, you continue to impress this board with your dedication and hard work and achievements. Your deliverables are always been impressive. So it's just amazing to me that all the work that you do. Any other comments, directors? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. And Last item on the agenda, next meeting details will be on July 14th and 2 o'clock. And with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion that we adjourn to July 14th, 2021 at 2 p.m.
So
Second.
moved.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, everybody speaks up now.
Okay,
Will we know later?
I
will we
know
know
the director Wright has big shoulders and can take that criticism.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Is
Well,
adjourned
so adjourned. I want to say thank you guys for this wonderful meeting, and I can't wait to see you guys again in the next meeting.
Okay,
Have a wonderful afternoon.
I do have one question, and that is our next meeting, we'll know later whether it's going to be in person or continued Zoom.
You know what? Let me chat with Michael and see what we can do. This projected being as virtual still, but we'll try to move to get an in-person soon. We'll
Okay.
see how we can arrange.
Okay.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good
Goodbye.
afternoon.
You're
Bye.
good. Glad you're gonna next meeting on time.